amend the laws that we already have, based as well on case law that the Supreme Court had released interpreting some of these provisions. So these would be helpful guideposts in what is unprotected or protected. The rest that are not covered by those would be protected. And so if Congress, the House of Representatives, decides to pass a law that restricts expression that is not covered by those which are already unprotected, then that law must be analyzed or must be crafted with foresight in mind that challenges to the law that restricts expression might have to contend with these particular tests. And I will not discuss all of them, but the most relevant for us, the Brandenburg test, which is recently reiterated by the court in the anti-terrorism law case, might not be as relevant here because that speaks of incitement. But what is relevant here might be the clear and present danger test. So here, as we can see how the test is formulated, Congress has the right to legislate on an evil that the government has a right to prevent. So that can be very broad. But that legislation can only pass muster, constitutional muster, if, again, the danger is clear and it is present. So my point there is for the legislation to be very, very clear in its policy declaration and in the provisions with respect to the danger that is being addressed and the imminence of that danger. It cannot be something that is hypothetical. And so those are some of the tests that we have, Your Honors, and I'll be open to questions on them later because in the interest of time. But one of the international laws that also govern state conduct is the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Here it allows laws that might have an impact on speech as long as it satisfies three tests. The first one is legality. So that means that the law's definition have to be very clear so that the citizen, who in this case we may have an issue of trolls or influencers that will bear the impact, know exactly what conduct to avoid. And that shouldn't also lead to chilling effect. And then the legitimate aim is covered because public order is one of the legitimate aims, as well as respect for the rights and reputations of others, and necessity and proportionality. So the fines should not be too exorbitant, or imprisonment should not be too exorbitant that it's no longer proportionate to what was, let's say, it's misinformation or malinformation as opposed to disinformation. Meta strategy was also discussed earlier. So just breezing through, maybe I'll end here with the final points on what the U.S. had done. The U.S. Federal Trade Commission Act declares that unlawful, unfair, or deceptive acts or practices that includes influencers. And part of the practice guidance here is for disclosures from influencers. I think we've also heard about this case about the TikTok ban in the U.S., and that's coming from a law that protects U.S. citizens from foreign adversary-controlled applications. So this requires divestment, if you want to continue operating in the country, divestment of the foreign adversary's stake in the corporation or in the application. And that is narrow here because they define who exactly is a foreign adversary. So they identify particular countries. In the case of TikTok, they identified China. And so these are some of the proposals that were mentioned earlier. I will no longer repeat them, but I am open to questions of Your Honors later. I think the final point is that artificial intelligence might be leveraged for this, but it's a double-edged sword because artificial intelligence had also been used in that disinformation strategy. Thank you very much, Your Honors.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll be allowing the members to ask questions. Konti na naman po itong magpe-present. We'll be proceeding to the government agencies. Unahin po natin si Secretary Ivan. Thank you for being here on our invitation. You have a presentation, sir? Set? Okay, go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. The presentation will be presented by our Cybersecurity Undersecretary, Jeff D.
Okay, you said, Jeff, you are now recognized.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, and to our Secretary of ICT, Secretary Ivan Janway. the presentation po is just an overview of
Alan, Yusek, can you kindly speak louder? Yung mic, the reason why we invited the government agencies is to find out if they are compliant with the Republic Act 10175, especially on the implementation of the Cybercrime Investigation Coordinating Center. Kung ito po ay nagpa-function para to abate this problem of misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. And siguro with your presentation, makaklaro sa ating mga kababayan kung ano na yung estado at kinalalagyan ng ating gobyerno on abating this problem. Thank you, Yusek and Secretary. You can proceed with your presentation.
So, Mr. Chair, so there will be two presentations. One presentation from the DICT USEC for cyber, and then the next presentation will be from CICC on specifically what or your point of inquiry.
Yes, so bali, sa ano muna, on the point of the department.
Yes,
And then afterwards, yung sa CICC, which was created under the Public Act 10175.
Apo.
They have presented to that as well already. But nakita namin na very informative at siguro kailangan malaman po ito ng taong bayan.
Apo.
So sige, Yusek Jeffrey, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Secretary. So, yung presentation lang po, if we can flash it on the screen. This presentation also went through the CICC, the Cybercrime Investigation Coordinating Council Executive Committee, which convened last week. Next slide, please. Just an overview. The Philippines is ranked number
Quiet,
2.
please, quiet, please. Okay, go ahead.
Just an overview of the Philippine social media landscape. The Philippines is ranked number 2 in social media usage, with approximately 86.75 million social media users. That constitutes about 73.4% of the entire population. We average daily 3 hours and 34 minutes of screen time in social media. And the most popular app still remains to be Facebook and Facebook Messenger. A very far second is TikTok, although Instagram and X, which was formerly Twitter, is more famous dun sa younger audiences. Let me point out lang, Your Honors, that most people maintain multiple social media accounts. So the statistics might be a little skewed in favor of Facebook because some who also use other social media platforms have their own Facebook accounts. Next slide, please. So, with regard to misinformation and concerns, according to a survey by the World Economic Forum and some other, and the United Nations, 43.9% of Filipino social media users follow particular influencers, and 63.8% of users signified concerns about what is real or fake on the internet. 70% of Filipinos on social media also bought a product due to an advertisement by an influencer's recommendation. We're generally talking about influencers not necessarily as artists, but also yung mga sikat po na mga vloggers at saka yung mga sikat pong nagbebenta sa TikTok at saka sa Facebook Marketplace. Next slide, please. We would like to present two cases just to express challenges of the law enforcement agencies when it comes to enforcing the law, specifically on misinformation, on disinformation, malinformation, etc. No? We would like to present the case of the Pulburon, which is where napatunayan na naman po, nagkaroon na po ng forensics ang NBI, ang PNP, the DICT already spoke on it, CICC, the center also spoke, Verifiles, and the other private parties already said with finality that that was a deepfake. The deepfake was first presented in a rally in the United States. Seemingly, a face of the president was swapped to a person inhaling a white substance in that particular video. Next slide. So, in this particular incident, sinabi na po, like I mentioned earlier, maliwanag po na this is a deepfake which was intended to malign the president and the current leadership. It is a manipulated video featuring the president. And we already issued, all government agencies were one in issuing a clarification that this was false and this was deepfake. I will discuss more about that, sir, but I would like to highlight a second case. Yung second case naman po Next slide.